Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the mysteries behind Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 19, The Servant of Lord Voldemort.
Oh boy, we're still in the Shrieking Shack.
We are, yes, I know. It is like... It's so tricky to think about this time period because they're in the Shrieking Shack for like 3 full chapters worth of explanation. And like within the shack, there's like reveal after reveal after reveal.
You sort of get like a chapter from like Sirius, you get a chapter from Lupin, and then you get like a chapter from Snape, or sort of Snape a little bit, but maybe Peter just as much in this particular chapter. Hence the servant of Lord Voldemort. Although to be fair, I guess you could also say on some level that Snape at one point in time was a servant of Lord Voldemort.
That's true.
Are you having microphone issues?
Absolutely, Ben. I don't know why it must persist. I can feel it like floating down on me. There it goes. Okay, cool.
Got it.
We're good.
Okay.
We're set.
Okay, so as per always, I feel like we got to give a quick examination to the chapter art.
Yes, we do.
For the Servant of Lord Voldemort, where we are going to get the depiction of the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah, which is just super duper boarded up and dilapidated. It's like, and this is like how it was built. So you have to wonder what the people of Hogsmeade were like. Are you just building a brand new haunted house up there?
Yes. Like what is the original? Because the proposed explanation is that when Lupin attended school, Dumbledore went through the effort of creating the Shrieking Shack as like a safe haven for him during his transformations. But it's also regarded as like the most haunted house in all of Britain. And so you're kind of like, but like he went to school, he was born in 1960, Lupin was. So he went to school in 1971. In book years, it's only 1993. So we're talking 22 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a very long period of time for something to have that reputation in the wizarding world.
I mean, that's like about as old as my actual house.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. In a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's still like pretty new.
Right.
So the Shrieking Shack, despite looking boarded up and decrepit, is like relatively young as houses go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that you say that, it's occurring to me that my own house is coming up on being 100 years old.
Wow. So yeah.
Yeah. So my own home has actually got like quite a few candles on the Shrieking Shack here.
Indeed.
But so anyway, there's a few other things to observe here in the chapter art, not the least of which is the fact that we do know that Dumbledore was the one who was setting this up. And so I do love the fact that there is like a fenced in yard.
Yes, I do love that too. Like Dumbledore was like, let's put up a fence. It'll look nice.
Yeah. It's like there was a day circa summer 1971 where Dumbledore must have been out there and been like, you know what? A fence. That's what will really like set it off.
That was after I finished picking out the wallpaper.
Yes,
setting up the 4-poster bed.
Exactly. Yep. You know how much that Dumbledore. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like when he's recruiting Slughorn and he takes the magazine because he like loves knitting patterns.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can imagine Dumbledore having a stack of like interior decoration magazines in his office just for that classic light reading.
Absolutely. He like loves the knitting patterns and all that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You can also witness in the chapter art the full moon behind the Shrieking Shack, which is canonically accurate, obviously, because this is the same night Lupin's going to turn into a werewolf. However, if you remember, not the artwork on our particular covers, but like the classic American cover that we all had as kids, where like Harry and Hermione are riding on Buckbeak, and you can see like Sirius in the background.
Yes.
On that one, if you were to have flipped it over, on the back cover, there is a crescent moon, but you can actually see Lupin like as a werewolf down on the ground. So it's like just a fun little inaccuracy in the moon drawing on the cover art.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like a complete miss, especially considering how big of a deal like lycanthropy and becoming a werewolf is to the entire narrative of Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
It's a pretty key detail to not get right, but it's also brought up all of these questions for us, just sort of here in office about like the plight that is becoming a werewolf in the wizarding world, because it seems like something as simple as a cloudy night is enough to prevent transformations, because what we'll learn is that like Lupin has run from the castle down to the Shrieking Shack on this very night, the reason that Snape is there is because Lupin forgot to take his potion.
Yep.
And so like we know that Lupin has been outside during a full moon evening and was able to safely transport himself from the front of the castle to the tree without transformation.
Yeah, like as little as cloud cover is enough to block the transformation.
Right. It really recontextualizes this whole affliction that somebody might be dealing with, because it seems very manageable.
It just does. Yeah. Like it seems like a like, I don't know, plot of convenience. Like it feels like that can't actually be how it works.
I agree with you.
Needed Lupin to be in the Shrieking Shack, so there was a cloud and that was enough. But it's like that one sentence just like throws just a huge wrench in things.
It does.
And I mean, I guess you can see, like, you know, would you be willing to roll the dice on just having Lupin sleep in the dormitories with like curtains, you know? Like, if he's like attending Hogwarts.
So you're going back to like his time at school. It's
like if Lupin's at school as a 12-year-old boy and you're like, well, as long as the moonlight doesn't actually hit him, it's not a problem. So we'll just put curtains up and like that'll be good.
Yeah.
You know, like, are you willing to roll the dice that like at no point one of the other boys like trips and pulls the curtain open on a full moon and
slash, you know, somebody needs to get up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom,
right?
Or even just the unpredictability of children ages 11 to 17. Like, I mean, we know in this exact story that at some point in time, Sirius will literally play the trick on Snape that is attempting to get him to encounter, you know, a fully formed werewolf. So there is sort of that question of like, do no curious classmates at any point in time just rip it open just because they want to see what would happen because they're immature and silly,
and then they're dead.
And and then they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Not a prank that lasts very long. But anyway, yeah. So I think there is a really big question, and I think really what it boils down to is just basic plot convenience. It's like we just need a way for it to be possible for Lupin to be here, and then also for it to be a problem later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I think that's what it comes down to. Anyway, so with all that being said, we've fully dissected the chapter art. You want to dive on in?
Yeah, so coming out of the last chapter, what's happened is Snape has just emerged in the from beneath the invisibility cloak, wand pointing directly at Lupin, having overheard all of the parts of the conversation that are not helpful to clearing Sirius's name.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
So he has missed the key points, but now he is there. So Hermione screamed upon seeing Snape, which kind of like is a little surprising. Maybe she's just like shocked to see him. But it's like, you know, I don't know, Snape being there all of a sudden doesn't seem like you'd scream at his appearance. Because he's like a teacher that at least Hermione you would think like trusts, sort of.
Right, you know?
Yes.
Assuming at bare minimum that like Hermione does not prescribe to or subscribe to Harry's belief that Snape is the worst at all times, and he is a professor at Hogwarts, and Hermione is a diligent student. So for her, it's just sort of like, oh, Snape.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Wow, this is probably helpful.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Maybe he did it with such a flourish.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, whoosh.
Here I am.
You know how much Snape loves the theatrics.
Absolutely. He also tells Harry, so he throws the cloak aside and says, "Very useful, Potter. I thank you," which just indicates that Snape clearly knows Harry has the invisibility cloak.
Yes, yeah. It also feels very ever so slightly as if like he is intending to be like, haha, your own device has foiled you. Like, as if he already knows that Harry is going to inevitably side with Lupin and Sirius over himself. Because there's no piece of me that reads "very useful, Potter, I thank you" as a genuine expression of gratitude. Right.
Like, but at the same rate, for the rest of the chapter, Snape is going to just be like, "I'm clearly saving your butts here."
Yes.
Like, you know, I am the hero. You should be happy to see me.
Well, what we're going to see over the next couple of chapters is that Snape is all about the narrative that he is the savior of this particular situation. Like, like as much as Snape has like a greater role inside of everything else for the whole story, everything we're about to see attached to Snape is all going back to like something that Lupin's going to point out very shortly here, a childhood grudge.
Yeah.
It's like he just wants to see the people who bullied him when he was a kid basically get the worst possible outcome.
I mean, he is, all of his, like, you can just tell how traumatized Snape must have been from childhood based on, like, how he becomes extremely unhinged in this situation.
Yes.
Like, just glossing over logic and all reason at all in the name of vengeance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, then Snape will go on to say, you're wondering perhaps how I knew you were here, to which case it's like, yeah, for certain.
Yes.
And then he goes on to explain that that Lupin had forgotten to take his potion tonight, of course, the Wolfsbane potion. So he took a goblet full along. Very lucky I did. Lucky for me, because lying on the desk was a certain map.
Yes. So what's interesting about this particular line, that you forgot to take your potion tonight, like earlier in the book, Lupin said, as long as I take the potion during the week leading up to the transformation, like, then it's not a problem. So, like, is it like, do you need to take it the night of, or like the days leading up to it, or both?
To me, it almost seems as if both. But at some point in time, he's going to be transformed into a wolf. At which point you're wondering, like, is he just sitting there like lapping it up from the goblet, like in wolf form?
Right. Yeah. I don't know, because like I think earlier in the book too, he's like, he drinks some and says like, thank you, Severus, I should probably take another tomorrow night or something.
Yeah.
So it seems like there are multiple days in which you could take it, and it feels unlikely that he missed it every single day, but it seems like unless you did it every single day, it obviously doesn't matter, because if you missed the last night, you're still going crazy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like any other pharmaceutical where it needs to like build up in your bloodstream or something.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you gotta do it for a period of days, and then you kind of reach like maximum, whatever amount.
Yeah.
Is just sort of in your system. But you're right. Then like if you miss just a single day, maybe that's the fine line that we're dealing with, where it's like he's built up like some immunity to
to the transformation
by having taken it for the past week, and now because he's missed like one night, he's only like fully susceptible underneath the full moon,
the fullest of moon.
Okay,
I would almost buy that.
It's better than plot convenience.
It's better than a cloud stops it.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though it seems like what it does is it doesn't even stop you from transforming ever. It still just makes you keep your mind when you transform.
Also true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is also weird. Yeah. Maybe the phrasing is just poor.
Maybe it's just I don't know. But so anyway, Snape sees the map, and that tells him everything he needs to know. And so worth bringing up here is that the longtime theory about like people always ask like, why didn't Fred and George notice Peter Pettigrew on the map or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
So the longtime theory has been that the Marauders can only see other people could not see the Marauders on the map, but if they were using it, they could see each other on the map.
Yes.
So as like a failsafe, so like they could not be found by other people if the map fell into the wrong hands.
It basically means that which sounds like the Marauders to me. Like they designed it such that the map can't be used against them.
Yes.
Like their own creation can't be their own downfall.
Exactly. So that is a theory. However, then you might read this line and be like, well, wait a minute, Snape sees them. And the explanation here would be that as far as the map is concerned, Lupin is the one using the map, because Lupin is the one who opened the map on this particular case. So that is why Snape can read Lupin on the map.
Yes. So, this is going to kind of go back to a thing from the previous chapter as well, where throughout the whole situation, where like I think at some point in time Snape enters underneath the invisibility cloak, and Lupin's kind of like staring at the door.
Yeah.
And it says like. Basically, I think someone's like, no one's there. And Ron's like, this place is haunted. And Lupin's like, it's not. Still looking at the door in a puzzled way. And then I've sort of theorized that like Lupin is attempting to explain to Snape, because he knows he's there for the whole chapter. He's like, this is what happened when we were kids. I wasn't involved with the prank that Sirius played. It was a bad prank. None of us agreed with it. Like blah, blah, blah. Like it's almost like he's speaking to the room because they all need to know this information, but he's also communicating with Snape. And I feel like that doubles down a little bit here because one, Lupin's a fairly responsible human being, all things being equal. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that he didn't take his potion on this particular evening and also didn't wipe the map don't see in keeping with the character of Lupin that I feel like I would know.
Yeah.
Like he's very deliberate, like when he runs into Harry at some point in time to like make sure that Harry can answer like the security question before he's absolutely certain that like it's the real Harry.
Right.
So the fact that he left the map open and didn't take his potion to me is further proof in my mind that like, one, there'd be reason why if it's anybody, it would be Snape, because two, I left the map open on my desk. And if he came, like Lupin knows he didn't take the potion and he knows who he's getting the potion from. So if so facto, Snape could know I was here.
Right.
You know, like.
It absolutely tracks. Like it makes sense. Like Lupin could deduce out that Snape is there.
Yes. That's my thinking, which I mean is not really like a huge like aha gotcha theory or anything like that, but I just think it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's never really said.
It's never really said, and it obviously doesn't matter what Lupin explains because Snape is just going to ignore it all anyway because he is so angry at the Marauders. So
yes, yep.
Won't matter because everything he says, like Snape just says, "I've told the headmaster again and again that you're helping your old friend back into the castle, and here's the proof." So he just glosses right over it.
He basically has been listening to nothing that has been said so far.
Yeah, which is kind of surprisingly like why doesn't he just attack like right away? Like what's he hoping to hear?
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true. Yeah. Maybe just waiting for just the right moment, or maybe it's just Snape wanting that like sweet vengeance of getting to see their like, you know, the looks on their face, like kind of like, you know, whenever a villain starts monologuing, it's almost like, I gotcha now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, I want to experience the power I have over you in this moment.
That does feel very Snape.
Yes.
But then he says like he says, not even I dreamed you would have the nerve to use this old place as your hideout. And it's like, dude, really? Because it feels pretty obvious. Like,
I know.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yes, it's like thinking back to our time at school. I remembered you and those other guys spent all of your time here, and then you come back to teach here this year, and all of a sudden your old pal is on the loose. It never occurred to me that you would use the old spot you used to hang out in. It's like,
I know.
For real?
Like, come on. Like, because at this point, as a member of staff, he must just know the truth about the Shrieking Shack anyway.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? And didn't have the nerve to use this old place. What does that even mean? Like, I didn't think like, oh, it occurred to me you could, but I didn't think you had the nerve.
Right.
Like,
right. Yes.
Like the absolute gall to reuse the shack.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't even check.
Check, which I guess they haven't been using anyway.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
So to be fair, it's not like he would have found anything at any point anyway.
Yeah.
However,
it seems like bad reasoning by Snape.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does. But then Lupin's sort of like, Severus, you're making a mistake. You haven't heard everything. I can explain. To which I was like, slowly.
Yes, I can explain very slowly. It's also, he said Lupin urgently. So like you can tell Lupin is quickly realizing that like Snape is not here to reason.
Yes.
He's just like, okay, hold on. We like actually though, Snape, like listen up because bad news. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Snape kind of continues on. He's like, I shall be interested to see how Dumbledore takes this. He was quite convinced you were harmless. You know, Lupin, a tame werewolf, which is again, you know, it's just like, it's very clear very quickly that the prejudice against werewolves in the wizarding world. And I mean, you know, Ron is just at fault of it, you know, at an earlier point in the series, like, or in the past couple of chapters. But from Snape's perspective, it's like, man, you really think that this person is worse because they are a werewolf?
Right.
Like their whole sense of being is all less than because of this one thing.
I know.
It's like, Snape, like, it's like, you know, Ron's a kid. You're an adult. Like, do better.
I know. Right. Especially since, one, you've been making the potion and it has been fine all year. And two, you of all people are someone who is like highly mistrusted and yet you know the true goodness of.
Right.
Yes. But such is, I suppose, the trauma of his bullying at school that he cannot get over this. But Lupin is, you know, doesn't really take the bait. He's just like, you fool. Is a schoolboy grudge worth putting an innocent man back inside Azkaban? And the answer to Snape is yes. It absolutely is worth it.
Yes, because the answer is actually bang.
Yeah.
Basically, he's just he is shooting thin snake-like cords that wrap themselves around Lupin's mouth, wrists, and ankles, and he just fells to the floor. And this, of course, makes Sirius very angry.
Yes.
in a way that only, it's like, well, classic Sirius, because with a roar of rage, Black started towards Snape, but Snape pointed his wand straight between Black's eyes. And he says, give me a reason. Give me a reason to do it, and I swear I will. And it's like, Snape, you don't already have, like, under your premise for being here, there is reason.
I know, right?
Like, even outside of your premise for being here, I feel like you have reason.
I know. Give me a reason. Is like, what was Lupin doing? Lupin was already doing nothing. What was your reason for attacking him?
Right.
Sirius was just charging you, and he's the one who's wanted for murder. So, yeah, feels like he's got plenty of reason to just go ahead and do it here.
Yep.
But he doesn't. It says Black stopped dead. It would have been impossible to say which face showed more hatred.
Yeah, it's amazing just how quickly the anger between these people is just utterly palpable.
I know.
Like it's like we don't need a whole lot more backstory. It's like it's clear they hate each other.
Oh, they hate each other, which also then makes it feel like clearly we will go back and like see Snape's memory and see that he has good reason to hate the Marauders, but for them to hate him this much as well seems like they must have their own reasons.
Well, and I feel like at some point in time they sort of discuss that. Like, I think when Harry goes and asks Lupin and Sirius through the fireplace, like, what his dad was like when he was a kid after seeing Snape's memories, they sort of say, like, his head deflated a little bit. It's like he stopped picking on Snape. It's like, well, Snape was a bit of a special case. It's like, it's not like Snape didn't use every opportunity to shoot a jinx at James. It's not like James was just going to take that lying down. So
right.
It kind of seems like, as much as James may mature throughout the years, it almost seems like the situation with Snape is sort of one that kind of never goes away.
Yeah, it never really goes away.
Yeah,
for sure. But then we get another good line here. It says that Harry stood there paralyzed, not knowing what to do or whom to believe, because that is truly like the situation he is in right now, because he's got like Snape, who historically dislikes him but is apparently there to catch Black, Sirius and Lupin, who he's been trusting all year, saying that Sirius is innocent, and Sirius claiming that Scabbers, the rat he's known for 3 years, is a man who's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
So it's like he has got there is no hard truth anywhere in the room that he can go on, which means that Harry will have to be working on instincts, which time and time again you see that Harry is has such good instincts.
He does. Yeah. Yes, I was going to say exactly the same thing. This is sort of what makes Harry thrive in the sort of defense against the dark arts capacity in such a huge way. I mean, even going all the way back to when he leaves Privet Drive because he's blown up on Marge or whatever, and he feels the prickle on his back, he's being watched. It's he is being watched.
Yes.
And it's to be fair, I mean, he's being watched by somebody who's not actually a threat, but it's Harry's ability to read the room and the circumstances and sort of throw weight into where he believes makes the most sense, and he's usually right. So, let's see here. So then Hermione kind of chimes in, and she's sort of well, we could hear them out, couldn't we? And, Snape's Miss Granger, you're already facing suspension from the school.
Yeah, for once in your life, hold your tongue. Just dude, such a bad teacher.
Yes.
What are you doing? And then she tries to counter again. She says, but if there was a mistake, and she says, Snape says, keep quiet, you stupid girl. Which is dude, come on. Are you there to save them or not?
I know. I know.
He's so mean to Hermione throughout the books.
I know, which is so shocking, because it seems for all intents and purposes, it seems Hermione should be reflecting Lily in such an obvious way.
Yeah, I mean, she's the highly accomplished Muggle-born student
who excels in all things academia. It's I don't understand why he has such a unless Hermione is just some bizarre even the fact that Hermione is spending so much time with Harry in particular, if even that is punching a nerve for him.
It is possible, but even in their first class before Harry and Hermione are friends, he's mean to Hermione.
That's true.
Yeah. And then later he's gonna do the thing with the teeth where he's I see no difference, and you're bro. Come on.
Yeah.
And then there's this right here where he's just openly calling her stupid. But it does say that he was looking quite deranged. So Snape is really just he can feel how close he is to victory. and he cannot stand the idea that someone's going to talk him out of it.
I know. Yes. And to be fair, in this particular situation, I actually think that Sirius has like a rare moment of like calm, where basically like Snape has just said like how I hoped I'd be the one to catch you, and then Sirius is just like the joke's on you again, Severus. As long as this boy brings his rat up to the castle, I'll come quietly.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, for Sirius, pretty level. Also, should have been his plan from the beginning.
Basically, should have been his plan from the beginning. Yeah, I'll come quietly. So this is Sirius, like basically admitting defeat to Snape, which is so out of character for him.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
Although then Snape's retort is basically like, up to the castle. I don't think we need to go that far. All I have to do is call the Dementors once we get out of the Willow. They'll be very pleased to see you, Black. Man, this I think would be if Snape successfully completed that objective.
This task, yeah.
I think Dumbledore would have killed him.
I think maybe.
Like, because I think that Dumbledore hates Dementors.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think even when they pull in the Dementors to give the kiss to Barty Crouch Jr., Dumbledore's like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Why did you do that? Now we
Right.
can't question him. Now
Right.
we can't prove the truth.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. So yeah, I think Snape I think is extended in a certain amount of tolerance from Dumbledore given the greater circumstances that those two uniquely are aware of. I think this would have done it.
I think this would have done it as well. Dumbledore would not be okay with this. I mean, if for no other reason than like, don't you just want to know like how he escaped Azkaban, you know?
Sure, yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's like nobody has the right, or Snape especially does not have the right priorities in place at the moment. Yeah.
Not at all. He is completely lost it. If any other teacher were in the room, it'd be so much of such a better situation for Harry, Ron, and Hermione. But they're not. So he's like trying to, now Black or Sirius is pleading with Snape as well, saying like, no, just the rat. Like, come on, dude, come on. Or this is what he says. He says, the rat. Look at the rat. Which is just like, again, Sirius, please be more specific.
Right.
Like at this point, what you need to be saying is, when we were at school, we could turn into animals. That's Peter Pettigrew. He could turn into a rat. He's missing a finger, you know?
Right. Yes. Or even just be like, please hold 1 second. I'm going to transform into a dog. Something I'm not supposed to be able to do. You are aware of the the Animagus registry.
Yes.
Look, see? Boom, dog. Boom, human. Boom, dog. Boom, human. That rat is Peter.
Peter.
Yeah. It's like just do that.
Just do that.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just try. I will come with you. Just try and turn him into a man and see what happens.
Although I don't even know if it would matter because there's a mad glint in Snape's eyes and he seems beyond reason.
I know. Yeah. The trauma is so heavy on him.
It is. And here's a line that I think that ends up being really bad for Snape as well, because he's like, come all of you, and he clicked his fingers and the ends of the cords that bound Lupin flew into his hands. He says, I'll drag the werewolf.
Yeah.
So this is a detail that I think has always sort of like flown over my head, that he specifically says drag, because eventually Snape is going to be disarmed and he's sort of like mad puppeteers his way out of the situation, because he's like unconscious and his head's lolling about.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like knocking on the ceiling of the tunnel and everything. And you always kind of feel like, guys, it's a little disrespectful to Snape.
Yeah.
But when you consider the fact that he intended to drag Lupin all the way back to the castle, it's like, dude.
Also, bear in mind, Lupin's not like knocked out in this situation. He can still hear what's happening.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
He's not going to be like dragged unconscious.
Right.
Yes. So not a good look for Snape. Also, just worth noting, it says he clicked his finger and the ends of the cords that bound Lupin flew to his hands. That is very interesting magic because it is non-verbal and wandless.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's very
He's
impressive.
Just like, snap.
It's like, what is going on? I mean, but we've always said that we think that Snape is insanely powerful.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like the ways in which he uses his particular magic. So it's like, I mean, there's sort of that layer of like, I don't really like Snape, but I do, like respect where respect is due. Game respects game. Yeah.
Yeah.
The man's got some skills.
Yes, but Harry is not having this. He crosses the room and blocks the path, and Snape cannot believe him. He says, if I had been here to save your skin. So like Snape very much sees himself. That's what's interesting here, is that like Snape in this moment sees himself as the hero. Like to him, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are like relieved to see him.
Yes.
Or should be.
Should be, although Hermione screamed, so maybe not totally, but you're right. Yes. He sees himself as like their savior.
Yes. So Harry brings up the very good point that Professor Lupin could have killed me about 100 times this year, to which I was just like, yes, if only Voldemort had used this logic with Moody, he could have saved himself so much trouble.
He could have saved himself so much trouble.
So much trouble.
He could have used someone else's blood to return in the graveyard. He could have had Barty Crouch Jr. just kill Harry right then and there because there's nothing protecting Harry from him. And they're literally casting Avada Kedavra in the same room as him.
In the same room.
Yeah. So there's it doesn't totally make sense.
Yep.
But either way, on that exact note, this is basically what Snape says in response to Harry, where he's like, "Don't ask me to fathom the way a werewolf's mind works."
Oh yeah, let me just push that aside because that's such a very good point.
Right. Yes. And this just finally, I think, pushes Harry a little bit too far, which I appreciate from Harry because I feel like this is Harry being like, "That's a terrible response," and you know it. And so Harry just says, "You're pathetic. Just because they made a fool of you at school, you won't even listen." Oh
my gosh, I can't imagine yelling at an adult at this age and calling them pathetic. This is bold.
It's bold.
It's bold because he's got his wand out. He is mad, and he absolutely touches a nerve here. Snape is like, "Silence! I will not be spoken to like that." Oh my gosh, he just like father, like son. I have just saved your neck, and it's like, not really. Maybe from your point of view, maybe from your point of view. But then this is the really great line from Snape, and he says, "You'd have died like your father, too arrogant to believe you might be mistaken in black." And the absolute irony of the situation is that Snape is presently the one who is too arrogant to believe he might be mistaken in black.
I know. It's just like, way to go, Snape.
Way to go.
That's rich.
Yeah. That's rich.
Yeah. But yeah, so then he screams, "Get out of the way, Potter." And basically this is the moment where Harry's instincts are clicking into gear in full capacity because before Snape could even take one step toward him, he had raised his wand. "Expelliarmus!" he yelled. And it's not just Harry who shoots this at the same time. It is also Ron and Hermione, and the end result is that Snape is lifted off his feet and slammed into the wall, then slides down it with a trickle of blood oozing from under his hair. He had been knocked out.
Oh, man.
So they really got him.
They really got him. I mean, how crazy must he seem for all three of them to be like, "Whoa."
Especially when you go to that scene in Half-Blood Prince after the lightning struck tower where Harry is sprinting through the the grass in front of the castle, and he's just launching spells at Snape, and Snape is just effortlessly blocking all of them.
Just flicking them aside.
Yeah, he must be in full level derangement here to where he is not on his game. He is not prepared because he's holding his wand.
Yeah, he's holding it.
It seems like Snape should be so in control of the situation that he just easily is like,
yeah. Not a problem. You three, that was a bad move. But they totally blast him here. They got him. Which also just you have to consider that Harry, Ron, and Hermione, when they enter the room, they believe Sirius to be the convicted murderer, Sirius Black.
Right.
And see him as a real danger. And they're talking to him and they don't attack him or anything.
Right.
And then even when they think Lupin pops in and he's a werewolf, they don't attack him.
Right.
And now Snape, a teacher they should be able to trust, but clearly don't. He is the one, he now seems more dangerous than Sirius to them.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Which is just bonkers.
Yes.
Which is just bonkers.
Yeah.
But I guess what's also kind of ironic is that all of these people ultimately on the same team.
Yeah.
Yep. They're we're all fighting the good fight.
Exactly.
And yet it's like the Spider-Man meme, where everybody's pointing at each other.
Yeah.
It's just come on, guys.
I know. Also, worth noting here, all three of them hit him with Expelliarmus. So, did the three of them all just become master of Snape's wand? Right?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, because it doesn't seem terribly dissimilar to the circumstances under which Dumbledore is disarmed by Draco.
Yeah.
Where he's just sort of preoccupied with whatever else.
Right.
But he even knows that Draco is attempting to kill him. So Draco's appearance is not even all of that no way. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
right. But Dumbledore's just so weakened in that state that you didn't really defeat him so much as just he was his mind was elsewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Same with this. So it does seem like that should be the case. That'd be something to look for as time unfolds. Is there any circumstances that might suggest that Snape's wand doesn't have full allegiance to Snape?
I know. It seems like it must not, because you're right. You even already said when Harry is attacking him later on and Snape is just blocking the spells.
Right.
It seems in that scenario, if Harry was the master of Snape's wand, it should have not been working as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's a very good point.
Yep.
So maybe that's just the wand chooses the wizard. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just like I mean, again, we already said it, but Snape's a fantastic wizard, if nothing else. So it's like maybe the one's like, yeah, no, my allegiance isn't that
right, yeah,
that open,
not that open. Yeah, I still belong to that guy.
Right,
could be. So let's see. Harry avoided Black's eyes. He wasn't sure even now that he had done the right thing. So again, that's him just acting completely on instinct right there. He's like, I don't know if I was supposed to do that. It just felt right in the moment.
Right. So we did it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we will discover, of course, that it was the right thing to do. So not a big problem. Hermione's back there like, oh, we're going to be in so much trouble. But like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like Dumbledore's like, well, what, you attacked your teacher? Which one? It's fine.
We'll take away his Order of Merlin second class. No big deal.
Exactly.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Let's see then. So now they're finally going to offer everyone some proof. And they finally ask Ron to hand Scabbers over to Sirius. So Ron clutched Scabbers even closer to his chest, which is interesting because, like, you've just attacked Snape. Like, if you attacked Snape, you must believe the other two, and yet you're still like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, which that's the other thing to keep in the back of your mind as well through all this, because we just kind of like you got to remember that like Peter is frantically trying to get away. So through all of this, Ron is laying there watching the most unbelievable set of circumstances unfold with a broken leg while trying to maintain control over Scabbers the rat.
Yeah.
Who is almost certainly just like thrashing away at his own bare hands, which I have to imagine are almost gone at this point in time.
Yeah, right?
Let's see here. So then, let's see, the next thing, so Ron says, come off it. Are you trying to say he broke out of Azkaban just to get his hands on Scabbers? I mean, like, okay, say Pettigrew could turn into a rat. There are millions of rats. How's he supposed to know which ones he's after he's been locked up in Azkaban? And this is just like another one of those questions that I think that like someone in the story had to ask in order for us, the audience, to not have to ask this question, because otherwise it's like, okay, he saw a picture of a rat in a newspaper clipping and knew it was his old best friend.
Yeah, well, he'd seen Peter, transform so many times before. He knew, I knew it was him immediately.
Spot him from a mile away.
Yes, but this is like one of those, it's like, boy, what if they hadn't won the lottery? Like, what if he hadn't been in that picture?
I know.
What if Ron hadn't brought his rat on vacation with him to Egypt? Who's to say?
A lot of things don't happen.
A lot of things don't happen. Actually, we made a whole what if about that. Like, what if the Weasleys didn't win the lottery? If you want to go check that out, feel free to do it.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Let's see here. But then, so speaking of that particular photo, this is basically like what Sirius responds with. It's like it was in the photograph of Ron and his family. On Ron's shoulder was Scabbers. And he's basically showing him the crumpled up piece of paper that he had from Azkaban. And Lupin's like, how did you get this? And Sirius is like, fudge. When he came to inspect Azkaban last year, he gave me his paper. And there was Peter on the front page on this boy's shoulder. I knew him at once. How many times had I seen him transform?
Yeah. Well, good eye.
Yeah. Good on you, Sirius.
Yeah. Also, how lucky that not only did Fudge happen to be there on the very day that this was printed, that this was in the Daily Prophet, but that he happened to give Sirius this particular piece of paper.
I know.
Right?
I mean, this is the kind of thing where you almost wonder if like fate is always just sort of like, at least within the wizarding world, at work.
Right.
Like it's almost because a lot of like serendipitous things happen that lead to all of what's happening. Happening.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to have predicted or foreseen or been able to, see this wildly wacky waving, turning tail unfolding the way that it would, because it requires such unusual things.
It does. But there is a prophecy about this night at play, so who knows? Maybe that's sort of been like at work the whole time.
That's also true. That's also true. That's like one of the rules we always have with the what ifs, is that prophecies are going to prophecy because they are like the nexus points within the universe.
Exactly.
They have to happen.
Exactly. So let's see. Then this is when Lupin realizes that, oh my gosh, Scabbers got a toe missing, and that they realized that Peter must have cut off his finger before he transformed, and that was the only piece they ever found of him, which is very cunning. Like, we've talked about it before, and we're going to see it. We're going to see it a bunch after Peter finally gets revealed. But like, Peter is he maybe isn't a great wizard, but he is a very, very fast thinker.
He definitely is. Like the speed at which he is going to be able to mount a defense here in just a couple of minutes is kind of remarkable.
Yeah,
and he will actively effectively be using the room so well based on the information he knows everyone else doesn't know for sure.
Right.
You know, so it's like he says that, but what if?
Yeah.
And yeah, so you're right. Like it's like Peter definitely has a skill.
Yeah, he has a skill, and like you can see it at work even when Sirius corners him. He just like realizes that like, oh, no one here knows the story, and I know what everyone thinks the story is, and I can play into that right now.
Yes.
So he yells for the whole street that Lily and that that Sirius had betrayed Lily and James, then blew apart the street and killed everyone within 20 feet of himself. Sped down to the sewer with the rat. No one's the wiser. Boom.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so, and I do love this moment, is specifically in the movie where it said the biggest bit of Peter they found was his finger. And it's like, Harry comes to that realization. You just like watch him like, oh my God.
Yes.
Like, this is it.
No way.
Yes. So let's see here. And then they continue to point out more and more things. It says that he's been in the Weasley's family for 12 years. Didn't you ever wonder why he was living so long? And like that is a point that was brought up earlier in the Magical Menagerie when they're like, most garden rats don't live past 4 years. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like it is weird. I didn't even think about it. You know, Ron's like, we've been taking really good care of him.
Right. Yes. But that is also one of those things that I fact checked out in the real world as well. And it's also true that like rats don't live this long. So I actually do love that because it's like, it's not just like the wizarding world being like, yeah, rats don't live that long. That'd be weird, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, actually true.
Actually true.
Yeah.
They don't. They point out that he's not looking too good at the moment, though, is he? And he says, I guess he'd been losing weight ever since he'd heard Sirius was on the loose. And Ron tries to counter, like, no, he's just been scared of Crookshanks. But Harry's like, no, that's not true. He's like, we only got Crookshanks because we went to get medicine for Scabbers ahead of time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. Which I think is great. That's a great intangible horror skill for Harry. Like to be like, hold on, no, the facts don't line up.
Yes.
Because that's just being a detective.
That's just being a detective. And like this is where like earlier in the book you'd have been thrown off this particular scent because Ron says Egypt didn't agree with him. And that's sort of like your explanation, which, you're sort of reading along. You're like, yeah, Scabbers, he's a rat. He went on vacation to like a really hot desert place and that didn't agree with him. I guess that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
who brings their pet rats on vacation anyway?
I know, right? Yeah. So like it is cleverly done how you are like distracted by why Scabbers is feeling bad early on. But then it's like, oh yeah, he was feeling bad because of this, and then he continued feeling bad for a different reason. It's like that. Yeah. It's like, what are the odds?
Right.
Yeah. That's been the same reason the whole time.
Right.
The whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then we get a little bit of a backstory on Crookshanks.
Yes.
Because Ron describes Crookshanks or Scabbers as having been scared of that mad cat, to which Sirius responds, this cat isn't mad. He's the most intelligent of his kind I've ever met. Basically, he recognized Peter for what he was right away, and then when he met me, he knew that I was no dog. It was a while before he trusted me. Finally, I managed to communicate to him what I was after, and he's been helping me.
Yeah, so this is when he says that Crookshanks is actually the one who stole the passwords into Gryffindor Tower. As I understand it, he took them from a boy's bedside table, which is like, how is Crookshanks communicating that part to Sirius? Like it'd be easy enough for him to get it and be like, oh yeah, you stole passwords for me. Good.
Yes.
But to know where specifically he got them from means that they like have a certain level of communication between them,
which is almost a requirement because we are also going to learn that that Sirius had sent Crookshanks into the like broomstick. No, he sent like into the post office to order the firebolt.
Yeah.
So like Crookshanks is working on some pretty significant projects for old Sirius.
Yeah.
The other thing I do actually really like about this entire piece of dialogue, though, is that I like the fact that it even acknowledges that Crookshanks was suspect of Sirius at first as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's not just Scabbers. It's like, wait a second, you're not a rat. You're not a dog.
Right.
Like something is askew about whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the fact that it's like there's not like a weighted like good guy bias for Sirius. Like Sirius had to win Crookshanks over as well.
Yeah. I'm curious to know too, like, is there ever a point in the next book where Crookshanks is going to be near Barty Crouch Jr. Because you'd think Crookshanks would pick up on like, that's not him.
That's not him.
That's a guy in disguise.
Right.
Clear as day.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if they ever come into contact with each other.
I know. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
That's a good one to keep eyes on, just in case.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But Peter got wind that that Sirius was going to break into the common room and made a run for it. Basically says that Crookshanks told him that he bit himself, and then kind of points out that faking his own death had already worked once, so why not?
Why not? Do it again. How on earth he would have gotten wind of it? No idea. Like, how does Peter figure this out?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. Other than just sort of like, nope, I gotta go. Just gets paranoid, I guess. But let's see. And why did he fake his death? So Harry comes back to his senses a little bit. He says, why did Peter fake his death? Because he knew you were about to kill him like you killed my parents, which is another good point. It's like we haven't actually gotten to the whole point here that they've switched secret keepers.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And now, things are slightly confusing for just a second because Lupin's like, no, Harry. And then Harry's like, and now you come to finish him off. And Sirius like, yep, I sure have. With an evil look at Scabbers. It's like, Sirius, please choose your words differently.
I know.
And then Harry's like, then I should have let Snape take you. And then Lupin's like, Harry, don't you see? All this time we've thought that Sirius betrayed your parents. And Peter tracked him down. But it was the other way around. Don't you see? Peter betrayed your mother and father. Sirius tracked Peter down.
Right. Yeah. And then so Harry says, that's not true. He was their secret keeper. He said so before you turned up. He said he killed them. And it's like, he kind of did say that.
I literally wrote, to be fair, he has not been clear about this.
He has not been clear.
Yeah.
Like the whole time, it's like, it's so weird when you're reading this in retrospect because like, the full story, but it's like, so far, all they've mostly been trying to do is prove that Peter is alive and that he's a rat, but they haven't said why that matters.
Yes, exactly.
Just yet. And this is the actual big reason is that Peter was the secret keeper, not Sirius.
Yes. So once again, we get the line from Sirius that says, Harry, I as good as killed them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, Sirius.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I persuaded Lily and James to change Peter at the last moment. I persuaded them to use him as secret keeper instead of me. I'm to blame. I know it. The night they died, I'd arranged to check on Peter to make sure he was still safe. But when I arrived at his hiding place, he'd gone. Yet there was no sign of a struggle. It didn't feel right. I was scared. I set out for your parents' house straight away, which he shouldn't be able to find.
Right.
Right?
You're right. Yeah. Shouldn't be able to find.
Maybe just Godric's Hollow.
I guess it's sort of like if I can find it, then that's a problem.
Then that's a problem, which is true. And it is. And when I saw their house destroyed and their bodies, I realized what Peter must have done. What I'd done. I was like, oh, serious?
It is. I mean, it doesn't get any better, too, because eventually you're going to learn about the Fidelius charm that, like, I don't even know if, maybe you don't even learn it in the books, but it's like, there's like, Pottermore archive writing about how like the Fidelius charm can't be like the information cannot be coerced out of you, like it can't be tortured out of you. You must willingly give it up.
Yes.
So like Sirius's whole plan here to like use Peter instead of himself, like as a decoy or something, like really just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to do like a shell game type of situation where he's like, I'm going to hide it under somewhere else. Then we're going to slide all the shells around and you won't know where to look.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like Sirius's whole point, and what he always comes back to is that he would have died for his friends. And it's like, I've always believed Sirius 100% in that particular regard. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Sirius would have died for James and Lily. But it's also like they couldn't have tortured it out of you. So you could have just been the secret keeper and then it would have been as good as safe because you would have just died to protect them.
Right.
And
it's like in the meantime, other people seem to have thought it was you. So it's like you're not even saving yourself from being like targeted. Like they're just going to like still probably come try and get the information out of you because they still think it's you is your plan.
Yeah.
And like they won't be able to get it out of you, but they wouldn't have been able to get it out of you anyway.
Right.
So it's like maybe Sirius just doesn't understand like the fullness of how the Fidelius charm works.
Always
overall.
possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is mildly confusing.
It is, yes.
So there's that. But you would think the people involved with this particular situation would have it pretty on lock.
Yeah, you'd think so. But inevitably, whatever. They switch it to Peter. Peter tells Voldemort. Let's see. And then Lupin speaks up and says, there's one way to prove what really happened. Ron, give me that rat, which this is one of those things, like if you're just listening to it, you might not see, but like the give me that rat is in italics. So you can kind of like see Lupin like as being a little bit more intense right here in this moment.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like it even says that there's a steely note in his voice, which seems so like out of character for Lupin, who like through a lot of this scene, he's basically been like teaching, like he's like in front of a class with Hermione, where he's like, very good, Hermione, and can you tell me why?
Yeah, and it's like as Lupin is coming more and more to the appropriate conclusion and learning the truth, he is like, you can tell like he himself is getting like pretty angry.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
like,
absolutely.
What, well, Peter? What?
I mean, and we've talked about Snape's trauma, but you can't underestimate Lupin's trauma either, because the thing I always come back to is this particular night, Lupin, who is a werewolf, who we've clearly seen has prejudice placed against him, lost the 3 people who ever loved him all in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Because as far as he's concerned, James was killed, Sirius was in prison, and Peter was killed.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, you know, Lupin, who had these 3 amazing friends who changed everything about what his life happened to look like and where he sourced meaning and belonging, all went away all at once. And
because of each other.
And because of each other. And he's had to mourn this entire situation this whole time. So I could see Lupin being like very angry.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like,
because Lupin, it's almost uncharacteristic. It seems that like Lupin crosses the line to like, yeah, let's just kill him.
That's also true. That's also true. Yep. That's a good point.
But he does get there because, I mean, he has quite a bit to be angry about himself here. Right. So let's see. They get they get Peter in their hand finally, and they transform him back, and we get like the description of him turning back. It says, it was like watching a speeding up film of a growing tree. A head was shooting upward from the ground, limbs were sprouting. A moment later, a man was standing where Scabrous has been, cringing and wringing his hands. Yeah. So this is also weird because this is the first time that Peter has been in human form in like 12 years.
Yeah. Yep. So it's like you got to imagine like how much the rat likeness, because he always is sort of like described as being rather rat-ish, mousy even. So it's almost like, was this part of like why his animagus form was a rat, or has been being a rat for so long, just like kind of like quietly transformed who he is?
I mean, if you've been in this form for a long time, you can imagine, it has some like effect on your physical mannerisms.
Yes, yeah. I'm like hearing like the echo of like Obi-Wan, who's like, he's more machine now than man.
Yeah.
Except he's more rat now.
He's more rat now than man.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. So there's that. We get a description of his skin as grubby.
Oh, gross.
Grubby, I know. Yeah, grubby skin.
Almost how people's skin look is very important in Harry Potter.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes they have nice skin.
Sometimes they have nice skin.
Yeah.
You know, skin goes.
As skin goes. Yeah.
That's such a weird line to put in the movies.
Hermione's got nice skin. Peter doesn't. It's grubby.
Peter does not. He's got grubby skin. And then Lupin just jumps back into pleasant mood. Well, hello, Peter. Long time no see. And then just literally the first words Peter says, he is already conniving. He's just acting as if like this entire situation is brand new to him. Like as if he hasn't been there the whole time. Just, what? Sirius? Remus? My old friends. My goodness, I didn't even know you were here. What are the odds?
I mean, like, yes, you've added like a few words to that, but otherwise that is almost exactly word for word what he says.
Yeah.
My friends, my old friends.
Yeah.
There's like one of those like weird things where it's also like we still don't know like the full effects of being an animagus. But Lupin says, we've been having a little chat, Peter, about what happened the night that Lily and James died. And it's kind of like, yeah, Lupin, he's been there.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
He knows what you've been talking about.
No, but he's acting like he doesn't.
I know.
Yeah.
He's definitely he is suggesting that to be the case, which must be ambiguous enough to be like, do you know what we were talking about?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But even that, he's immediately going to try and sow so much doubt in everyone. It says, Remus, you don't believe him, do you? He tried to kill me. Which is like, that's true. He's going to try and like reinforce the known story over and over.
Yes.
Yeah.
He will also go methodically from person to person based on who he believes he has the best chance of convincing.
Yes.
But he will go all the way down to his absolute last resort.
Yes.
In time. So yeah, he starts with Remus. Like,
yes.
You were the person who who was also most affected. Sirius betrayed us. We had our friendship.
Right. We were in the Order together. We were friends. Can you believe what he did? He tried to kill me. He's trying to do it right now. And like all of that is all true.
Right.
Yeah. He's come to try me to kill again. He killed Lily and James and now he's going to kill me too. Like he's just repeating the story that's already well known. And it's like, so far we don't like, they, even if you think like, even if Sirius says we switch secret keepers, it's like, that's still just like on their word, like Sirius could be making that up. And like Peter knows it's hard to confirm that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. But basically Lupin's sort of like, nobody's going to try and kill you until we sort the few things out. And basically Peter reacts with like, I knew he was going to come after me. I knew he'd come back. I've been waiting for this for 12 years. And Lupin's sort of like, you knew Sirius was going to break out of Azkaban when no one has ever done it before?
Right.
Like, that was your concern?
Yeah.
Because that's not a very good concern.
Yeah. And then he says, he's got dark powers the rest of us can only dream of, which Lupin admits was how he thought Sirius was breaking into the castle just a few minutes ago.
True.
So there is that. He said, how else did he get out of there? I suppose he who must not be named taught him a few tricks, which is interesting here that he's cunning enough to refer to Voldemort not as the Dark Lord, but as he who must not be named. Like he's not like acting like a Death Eater calling him the Dark Lord just yet.
Right. Yep, that's true. And then, but like, I do like Sirius's response to this because it's like the way, like it's as Black started to laugh, a horrible, mirthless laugh that filled the whole room. Voldemort, teach me tricks, and it's like to me, this is a situation that like to Sirius, it's like that is a genuinely laughable situation.
Yes,
like he is like, you must be out of your mind.
Right.
Voldemort, teach me tricks. Like
right.
I am like his, like I hate him more than anyone.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like it's almost as if like to Sirius is like that is such a bad argument because never.
Yeah. Because never. Yeah. Like, are you kidding? Do you hear yourself right now?
Right.
And then notably, Sirius says Voldemort out loud. Which again, like most of the other characters besides Harry and Dumbledore do not ever say Voldemort's name.
Yeah.
So there's that, which Peter clearly doesn't even like the sound of his name. He says, what, scared to hear your master's old name? And he says, I don't blame you. His lot aren't very happy with you, are there? And Peter's like, don't know what you mean. And Black brings up, he's like, well, you haven't been hiding from me for 12 years. You've been hiding from them because I've heard things in Azkaban, Peter. They all think you're dead or you'd have to answer to them. Like Voldemort went to the Potters on your information. If they ever got wind that you were still alive, well, bad news.
It's a really good point though. Yeah, because it's like it's because I'm even curious whether or not the Death Eaters knew Peter's true identity, because he says sounds like they think the double crosser double-crossed them. So to me, I'm almost curious as to whether or not the Death Eaters knew that there was a double crosser by alias.
Yeah.
But maybe didn't know who the double crosser was. But maybe Voldemort was like, I have someone in their camp.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I guess if Sirius is right that Peter has been hiding from the Death Eaters and that's why he can't emerge as Peter Pettigrew, then it sounds like they would, like, if the Death Eaters saw Peter Pettigrew, they'd be like, well,
you're
that guy.
Yeah.
But I guess it's possible they like found out just before Voldemort fell.
True.
Maybe they didn't like always know.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, there are plenty of Death Eaters still out there biding their time, pretending they've seen the error in their ways. If they ever got wind that you were still alive, Peter, and Peter's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, his go-to.
Yeah. Like, you can't prove anything you're saying. Those are just theories. And then Lupin brings up a good point. He says, I must admit, Peter, I have difficulty in understanding why an innocent man would want to spend 12 years as a rat. And then, God, this is where you get to see Peter start thinking very fast. He says, innocent but scared. If Voldemort's supporters were after me, it's because I put one of their best men in Azkaban, the spy, Sirius Black. And it's like, boy, that fits too very quickly.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. This is where it's like, Peter, you could have had a career as a lawyer, man.
Dude, I know.
Like reframing stuff.
I know. He is good at like twisting the truth very quickly.
Yes.
And then so he says, how dare you? I spy for Voldemort? I'll never understand why I didn't see you were the spy from the start. And it's like, I guess because it is because Remus and Sirius both suspect each other of being the spy. So they just like, it kind of speaks to like, even back then they must have seen Peter as like at a little bit lower tier. Peter's not even, he can't be a threat because he's just not threatening.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
This is almost like me and you were talking before we started recording today about like, it was always the butler, when like the whodunit.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the fly on the wall. like the person who's always there, but you don't think has motivation, but then they somehow do.
Yeah, somehow they do.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like it's clear that like when it came down to it, basically Sirius and Lupin were only willing to believe, like it couldn't have been James because James died.
Yeah.
And so it's like Sirius and Lupin basically just assumed like, well, the only other person who could have was either me or you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me, so it had to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Peter.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Right. And so Sirius tries to explain his plan here. He says, I thought it was the perfect plan, a bluff. Voldemort would be sure to come after me, would never dream they'd use a weak, talentless thing like you. Which, to be fair, this is kind of how Voldemort thinks. Like, if Peter had not turned spy, then this probably would have been a very good thing, because it's like Voldemort does not see value in the things he doesn't understand. So like it is like almost fair on Sirius's part to believe that Voldemort would overlook Peter as a useful, as like a person to even investigate,
right?
Because he would be like so powerless, which would then be like the power of friendship actually working. The problem is that Peter is just a backstabbing rat.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Then there is a line as well, which is just shooting up the page just a tiny bit, but eventually I think Voldemort will reiterate this assessment by Sirius. But you always liked big friends who'd look after you, didn't you? It used to be us, me and Remus and James.
Yeah.
And eventually I think that Voldemort will literally say this exact same thing to Wormtail.
Wormtail.
Like Peter is not respected by either side.
By either side. It's like even Voldemort knows the only reason Peter comes to him on this night is because he has nowhere else to go.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. He's basically just afraid, and Voldemort needs someone to help him. So he's just kind of like, well, only any old port in a storm, I guess.
I guess so. But Voldemort is desperate for help, so he accepts it.
Yes.
But like in the meantime, it's like you can imagine Voldemort would be probably pretty like upset with Peter as well. One, for giving him the wrong information the first time.
Right.
And then two, for not seeking him out for the last 12 years.
Also true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't. What we'll see in chapter 1 of Goblet of Fire is not exactly a respectful relationship between Voldemort and Wormtail.
Not at all. Nope.
Let's see here. So then Sirius says, it must have been your finest moment of your miserable life, telling Voldemort you could hand him the Potters, which I hate.
I know. Probably to Peter was a very good moment for him.
Yep.
And then Hermione chimes in, says, can I say something? And Lupin goes back into teaching classes. Certainly, Hermione. And he's like, well, Scabbers, I mean, this man, he's been sleeping in Harry's dormitory for 3 years. If he's working for you-know-who, how come he never tried to hurt Harry before now? And like Peter latches onto this immediately. He's like, I like her.
Yeah.
She's smart.
Yes.
You.
She has figured it out.
Exactly. Very good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is yet another one of those questions that I feel like someone in the story had to ask so that nobody outside of the story was forced to ask it.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, like okay, Peter was such a threat. Like, why did he not do anything the rest of the time?
Yeah, which, like, to be fair, this was Harry's own point against Snape like 3 pages ago, where he's like, I've been alone with Professor Lupin tons of times. If he wanted to kill me, why didn't he?
Exactly.
You know, and now Hermione's being like, well, but you've been alone with Harry tons of times, and if you're, why didn't he hurt him?
Right, yes.
So, yeah, good point. Good point by Hermione. But Sirius explains why. And he said, because you never did anything for anyone unless you could see what was in it for you. And Peter is going to pretty much give away this exact... He's going to reiterate this himself later on about himself. Or I'm sure we'll get to it here. I'm trying to find it on the page. But he says he was taking over everywhere. What was to be gained by opposing him? And that basically just reiterates this exact point.
Yes. Yeah. Like, why not just bend to his will? Because he was going to take over anyway. Like,
right.
May as well get in early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's see. Sirius continues to point out you'd want to be quite sure he was the biggest bully in the playground before you went back to him, wouldn't you? Yeah. So he's pretty much just got him pegged for sure.
Right.
Yep.
Let's see here. And then he's also kind of like, why else did you find a wizard family to take you in? Keeping an ear out for news, weren't you, Peter? Just in case your old protector regained strength and it was safe to rejoin him. This is sort of an interesting one because it's not like Voldemort hasn't been close to regaining strength over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Like there have been murmurs. I mean, Voldemort was in the castle.
Oh, I know. I know.
Like for all of year 1.
Yes, he was in the castle for all of year 1. But I guess like Harry, Ron, and Hermione did not realize that.
That's true.
Like they thought
they think
that
it's Snape.
They think it's Snape, and that at most Voldemort is in the forest.
Okay.
Right? Because they think that's what Firenze tells Harry. as much. That was Voldemort drinking the unicorn blood or whatever.
Can you think of no one?
Yeah, can you think of no one?
Yeah.
But it's like whether or not Ron or Scabbers would have been there to hear Ron say that is, I guess, uncertain. And even then, though, they think it's Snape, not like Voldemort himself that's going to steal the stone, or Quirrell. So, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I mean that's a good point. But there have just been like instances of his potential rise that have happened. So,
yeah.
He's not just necessarily looking for like any glimpse of it. Moving on down the line there, though, we've got
how did you get out of Azkaban if you didn't use dark magic? And Peter again, just grasping at straws. Hermione keeping everybody on track, and he's like, exactly. How on earth did he get out? And then Sirius brings up a very interesting point. He says, I don't know how I did it. I think the only reason I never lost my mind is that I knew I was innocent. And that wasn't a happy thought, so the Dementors couldn't suck it out of me, but it kept me sane and knowing who I am. So remember this point, that like the reason the Dementors have not been affecting Sirius, the reason they haven't been able to find him is because the main thought he has is not a happy thought, which is making it very difficult for them to track him.
Yes, that is going to like this is I highlighted and underlined this particular set of lines because it's like it's so well written to explain the unusual paradoxical situation that I feel like is how Dementors behave, because they make you feel miserable, but what they feed on is happiness.
Right.
Like that is like what draws them to you. But then they make you experience your worst experiences. So it's like
right.
you associate them with such negativity, but what they're really taking from you is the goodness.
Yeah.
And so Sirius doesn't have any of that because he lost his best friends in one fell swoop. He felt betrayed, and Voldemort, almost won in the process, and all he knows is that he's innocent, and it's not really happy for him to be innocent. So,
right. Yeah.
Like,
not good news.
Yes.
But so then his other line of defense is that he could transform into a dog, and at that point his feelings are less than human, which is interesting because it's sort of like we were talking about this last time. Like when you become an animagus, like are you turning into a dog, or are you like it's not like you are just a human in dog shape. It seems like it's more like you become a dog that you are like now driving or something.
Yeah, I mean, and so there's a couple of different like takeaways there as well, because it does go back to the question of like, Peter being like, we were just having, or Lupin telling Peter like, we've just been having a little chat about what happened the night that Lily and James died. And it's like, yeah, he's been there the whole time, Lupin.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe not everything transfers perfectly.
Yeah,
from animagus form to human form?
Yeah, maybe not, because we're also going to see, we know that, Peter as a human cuts his finger off, and therefore Scabbers, the rat, has a missing toe.
Yes.
But, Lupin is about to rip Sirius a new one when they fight in a couple of pages here, and Sirius is going to transform back and, not be mortally wounded.
Right.
Or, bleeding out everywhere, the greater threat is still the Dementors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's almost as if, there are certain things, you can use your animagus form as, a shield.
Yeah.
And it is almost, enduring some of the pain because you as a human don't have to come back to that, which could even make sense a little bit with how in stag form and in the big dog form, Sirius and James were able to keep Lupin in check back in the day, because almost certainly at some point in time, the werewolf, we're about to see the werewolf completely win against Sirius outside of the Whomping Willow. So surely at some point in time, Lupin was attacking them, but it doesn't seem like it was ever an issue that they were showing up to class with a giant slash mark across their face. Anything.
Yeah. So, but then on the flip side, I suppose, Scabbers has been losing weight and hair and stuff all year, and human form Pettigrew seems like he's very weak and feeble.
That's true,
and
as well.
Balding as well. So it's I don't know where the line is. Maybe things like weight and hair are different. I guess weight and hair are different than physical wounds.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit curious, because the other thing too is I think that what we will hear is that in dog form, he was able to transform through the cell and then like slip through the bars. And so you sort of assume that like this like emaciated version of Sirius in dog form is the one who can slip through the bars.
Yeah.
Not just like Sirius, because that would seem like insufficient bars.
Right.
For a prison.
For a prison. Yeah.
But
thin people fit through bars.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing about Sirius in dog form is it seems like he is always a big, powerful dog. So it's like it does seem like that must be translating a little bit as well. Like where when he first escapes in dog form, he's still quite small.
Right.
And then like maybe he can like beef the dog up by eating scraps, but like his human self is not quite as it's harder to get nourishment.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like he's like still a pretty big dog.
Yeah.
Like when Harry's seeing him and stuff.
He's strong enough to drag Ron. Through
the Shrieking Shack and through the tunnel for an hour or whatever, however long it is.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, semantics of animagus forms aside,
yes,
we shall continue. But yeah, in a dog form, it says that the Dementors. Let's see here. They don't have Dementors can't see, he swallowed. They feel their way towards people by sensing their emotions. They could tell that my feelings were less human, less complex when I was a dog. But they thought, of course, that I was losing my mind like everyone else in there. So it didn't trouble them. But I was weak, very weak, and I had no hope of driving them away from me without a wand. Which all of that I think is kind of important because it means that Sirius can also transform into dog form without a wand. Which what we'll also see here in a few minutes is that it seems like Peter requires a wand.
It does seem like it. Yeah, there's like some wiggle room. Like if you read about Animagus, it seems like they're supposed to be able to transform at will from one to the other.
Okay.
But at the same rate, then you have like the line in the prophecy that says the servant has been chained, which sounds more like, he was stuck as a rat because like another way, like how else is Peter chained?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Like, because it's easier to believe that he's been stuck as a rat for all this time, not optionally choosing to be a rat for all this time.
Right. Yeah. Like no one's making you transform. Like, who knows? But so yeah, I think that'll be coming up in the next chapter when we see him grab the wand. And like in the movie, he very clearly uses the wand.
Yeah,
to transform.
when he does sort of like his creepy little
creepy wave.
like wave thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interestingly worded sentence there that I have gone back and forth on so many times. Like, does Peter need the wand or not? Does he need the wand or not?
I know, and it's not a hill we can die on. It's not a hill we need to die on or anything. It's just notable that Sirius can do it, and he specifically says he doesn't have a wand.
Right. Yeah. So clearly it can be done.
Right.
And it's like one of those where it's like it wouldn't surprise me if Peter just did need a wand because he's not as good a wizard
100%
as Sirius, even if for the most part anyone who becomes an animagus can just do it.
Right. I lose no sleep over that explanation.
Yeah, me neither either.
Yeah.
So
but then now we're getting back to Sirius in prison. But then I saw Peter in that picture. I realized that he was at Hogwarts with Harry, perfectly positioned to act if one hint reached his ears that the dark side was gathering strength again.
Yeah, which as we said earlier, there's been some hints. Like there was a basilisk in the school last year, and whatever. Maybe Peter Scabbers doesn't realize that the basilisk is Tom Riddle, I suppose. Like he doesn't know about the diary or the heir of Slytherin or
True. And I mean he's lived in the same house as Ginny, so even if he's observing Ginny writing in the notebook or even sees that Ginny is like writing on the walls or any of that type of stuff, it's like it's still someone he knows is doing. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. I mean either way. But I do think that this is kind of like one of those big ones because what Sirius goes on to say is that waiting for the dark side to gather strength again and deliver, ready to strike at the moment. He could be sure of allies and to deliver the last Potter to them. If he gave them Harry, who dare say he betrayed Lord Voldemort, he'd be welcomed back with honors. So you see, I had to do something. I was the only one who knew that Peter was still alive. So anyway, that whole big chunk of text there, I think is really important because it means that like Sirius is recognizing in the situation, like he has responsibilities to Harry as his godfather.
Right.
But I think he's even seeing like the bigger picture, which is that like if Peter is able to deliver Voldemort Harry and Harry's able to be destroyed, then that is basically going to open up Voldemort's reign of terror over everywhere.
And that's pretty much going to be the plot of the next book is that like Peter and Barty Crouch Jr. are trying to deliver Voldemort Harry.
Yes.
And by all accounts, they do.
They pretty much do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if not for some rogue wand cores, they pretty much succeed.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
they
indeed.
wouldn't have succeeded. Harry would have just done the whole love crux thing. But
well, there's that. But
there's
we'll get into that.
Just a lot of weird blood magic we can talk about for a while if you want. But
conversation for a different day.
For a different day. Yeah.
Let's see here. But yeah, I like that though, just because I think it means that Sirius is not just looking out for Harry, which of course he is looking out for Harry, but this is also showing that like I think Sirius is more of like a true hero in some capacity. Like he's also like aware that like the potential outcome here goes beyond just his role of protecting Harry. It's protecting everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see here.
So Harry remembers what Mr. Weasley told him, that the guards say he's been talking in his sleep, always the same. He's at Hogwarts. He realizes that he's talking about Peter, not himself. Let's see. So one night when they opened my door to bring me food, I slipped past them as a dog. Okay, so it's not that he slips through the bars.
You're right.
He
Okay.
just slips past them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Correction on our part.
There we go.
Yep. Although, gosh, what kind of terrible guards don't notice the person leaving the cell? You know?
I know. Okay, so you're right though, because the phrasing is actually kind of clever because it says, so one night when they opened my door to bring food, I slipped past them as a dog. So that's how he got out of his cell. It's so much harder for them to sense animal emotions that they were confused. I was thin, very thin enough to slip through the bars.
Yep.
But I think that there's a possibility that he escapes the cell in dog form and then is escaping like an exterior fence as Sirius Black the human, and then swimming back to the mainland as a dog.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So it's almost like he is switching between his size and form and emotional state to whichever one benefits the situation best.
Okay,
that's going to be my interpretation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. So it says, I journeyed north, slipped in the Hogwarts grounds as a dog. I've been living in the forest ever since, except when I came to watch the Quidditch, of course. The Quidditch.
The Quidditch. We'll come back to that.
You fly as well as your father did, Harry. Which I think, I think I'm just going to put a pin in this one as well. You fly as well as, or him coming to watch Quidditch. We'll circle back to that in the next chapter as well. But I think that explains a big plot point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree as well. Yep. So we'll come back to that. Mark it. Remember it. We'll continue.
Boom.
And then this is Sirius sort of also doing like a kind of what Peter's doing a little bit, but he's pleading. He's saying, "Believe me, croaked Black. Believe me, Harry. I never betrayed James and Lily. I would have died before I betrayed them." And this is the moment I think that it finally clicks for Harry because he says, "And at long last, Harry believed him."
Yep.
And I think that in a lot of ways it's because like. At the start of this whole situation, there's a really good moment where Ron steps forward in front of Harry and he's like, if you're going to kill Harry, you're going to have to kill us too.
Right.
And so I think that this is almost like Sirius reflecting the friendship that the trio has with one another back to Harry in a way that Harry's like, yes.
Right.
You think the way that we think, and you could only think that way if you were telling the truth.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Yeah. And so I think that's where it's like, it is instincts, and I think it's good character on everyone's part, but I think that's like why Harry believes him in that moment.
Yes, I think you're right, and it's definitely mirroring that exact sentiment, and you're right. It is the line that pushes Harry over the edge into finally believing Sirius. And now Peter is in full like desperation mode, going from person to person. So again, he starts with Remus. He says, "You don't believe this? Wouldn't Sirius have told you if they changed the plan?" And it's like, again, very fast thinking here. And then, but they're all right. They're keeping pace with him now. And he says, "Not if you thought I was the spy, Peter. And I think that's why you didn't tell me, Sirius." And then, they both apologize to each other, like we thought each other were the spy. No big deal. And then it says, I love this line. It says, "And will you in turn forgive me for believing you were the spy?" And it says, "Of course," said Black. And the ghost of a grin flitted across his gaunt face. And it's like, oh, we're friends again.
I know.
Like, truly, truly friends again.
Do you think they did their secret handshake at that point?
Absolutely. For sure they did.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, yeah, should we do this? Should we do the thing? Yeah, boom. And everyone was like, wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
Can't believe you guys still remember that.
I know, yeah. Harry and Ron are like, we need one of those.
We should do that. We should have a secret handshake for sure.
Hermione, you want to cook something up?
Yes. Oh, man. So I do love this, like the ghost of a grin, that there's just sort of like, a part of him is just sort of enjoying himself now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so now we've got, for one, there's just a line where it says, he too began rolling up his sleeves. Shall we kill him together? And the rolling up the sleeves thing I think is really funny for wand work because like, you know, if you're getting ready to be like in a bout of fisticuffs, you know, like if you're about to brawl in a back alley somewhere, yeah, sure, you roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. Do we need to roll up our sleeves to cast a spell?
Probably not.
Yeah, not so much. It gives some hilarious visuals though. So.
Right, it does.
I'm down for it.
Shall we kill him together? Yes, I think so, said Lupin grimly.
And so then at this point in time, Peter, it says he scrambled around to Ron and he says, Ron, haven't I been a good friend, a good pet? And I'm like, Peter, come off it.
Come on, dude.
What is this plea?
Yeah, and now you gotta love Ron's response here because you can tell Peter's getting so desperate here. And Ron is like the full weight of everything is hitting him, and he is just like, I let you sleep in my bed. It's like for like Ron, this is like so insult to injury.
Yes,
you know,
it
is just like, I mean, it literally, because in the name of protecting Scabbers, he broke his leg, and now he's realizing like, what have I done?
Yes.
What have I done? Like you were in my bed. Like,
yep. I literally highlighted it. I just said someone had to say it.
Someone had to say it. Had to be said. Yep. But Peter is running out of people to beg to, and now with almost no relationship at all, he seizes onto Hermione. Sweet girl, clever girl, you won't let them help me. But Hermione's not having it either. She backs away looking horrified, and at long last, Peter lands on Harry. I know. It's so, says, Harry, you look just like your father, just like him. And like, oh man, Sirius cannot stand that he is talking to Harry. It's like, how dare you speak to Harry? How dare you face him? How dare you talk about James in front of him? And it's like, yeah, but for real, dude.
I know. I wrote down, you've done it now, Peter.
Yeah,
like, you've gone too far.
Are you serious, bro? Yeah, that is not how it's gonna go here. And now Peter is just breaking down. He's just begging for mercy of any kind at this point. Just, what could I have done? The Dark Lord, you have no idea. He has weapons you can't. So now he's just like admitting to it. He's like, I can't, obviously I'm not going to convince you otherwise, so I may as well come clean. He has weapons you can't imagine. I would love to know what those weapons are. Like, what are you talking about?
Yes, I mean, the vaguism here is almost exactly like when they first start describing like the prophecy in Order of the Phoenix. They're like, a weapon. And it's like, okay, the prophecy is not really a weapon. And I wish it was, because it would be so cool if it was like a bazooka.
I know, right?
You know, like a wizard bazooka.
A wizard bazooka, but it's not. It's not.
It's
just an orb of glass.
Which is also
Voldemort never even gets it. Whatever. Yeah. So let's see. He says he has weapons you can't imagine. I was scared. I was never brave like you and Remus and James. I never meant it to happen. He forced me, and then so that's like his last hope is like I didn't mean to.
Right. Yes.
This is what he said in the movie. It's like, I didn't mean to. Like, what do you mean you didn't mean to?
Like, we all hate you, Peter.
We all hate you.
Yep.
So then Black is not having it. He says, don't lie. You've been passing information to him for a year before Lily and James died. You were his spy. And then Peter is just like, this is the line I was trying to find earlier. It says, he was taking over everywhere. What was to be gained by refusing him? This is sort of proving what Sirius said, that like, Peter doesn't do anything if he doesn't see what's in it for himself.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And like Sirius responds again, I think, with Sirius, you know, as hot-headed as he is, I mean, I think he's got all of his cards in the right places, because he says, what there was to be gained to be fighting the most evil wizard who has ever existed? Only innocent lives, Peter. Yeah. And it's just like Sirius was in the fight for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Peter Pettigrew's like, no, I haven't, maybe I'm not explaining this correctly. He was going to kill me.
And Sirius is like, then you should have died.
I know. Sirius is like, not a good enough answer for me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you should have died rather than betray your friends, as we would have done for you. Like, quite literally, you know?
Yes.
Yes. And let's see. You should have realized, said Lupin quietly, if Voldemort didn't kill you, we would. Goodbye, Peter. He's so calm about it all. She's just like, well, anyway, Avada Kedavra.
It kind of reminds me of Aragog talking to Harry and Ron in the Forest, like, goodbye, friends of Hagrid's.
Yeah, time to be eaten now.
Yes.
All right.
But then amazingly, Harry steps forward again. He yells, no, you can't kill him. You can't. And Sirius and Lupin both look staggered. Harry, this piece of vermin is the reason you have no parents, Black snarled.
Yeah, gosh. This cringing bit of filth would have seen you die. Cringing bit of filth. Oh man, love it.
Yeah, and Harry's like, I know. We'll take him up to the castle. We'll hand him over to the Dementors. He can go to Azkaban, but don't kill him.
Yeah. And then let's see, he flung his arms around Harry's knee. So Peter, or just begging for here. It's gross that he touches him at all. Yeah, thank you. It's more than I deserve. Thank you. And then Harry's like, yeah, I'm not. It's not that great. I'm definitely just going to give you the Dementors. Don't worry about that. Let's see.
Yeah, he follows it up with it. I'm doing it because I don't reckon my dad would have wanted his best friends to become killers just for you.
Yes.
So which I think is dead on the money.
Yes.
You know, and I think that this goes back to themes that we're going to see deeply rooted as we get towards the end of the series eventually with like the entire lengths that like Dumbledore goes to just to protect Draco from experiencing this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, there's the whole line where it's like, Snape, you need to be the one to kill me. And you know, Snape's like, my soul, Dumbledore?
Yeah.
My soul?
My soul.
And Dumbledore's like, you're really fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not gonna do it. You're doing me a favor, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, and then this act, of course, Harry stepping in front of Remus and Sirius is eventually what is going to get Peter killed, because this is what puts Peter in debt to Harry, and later on, Harry reminds him of that when they're in Malfoy Manor in Deathly Hallows. And this is like Peter has like a moment's hesitation about killing Harry. And upon having that moment's hesitation, the silver hand that Voldemort is going to give him is going to be like, hey, are you not being loyal to Voldemort at the moment? That's not good. You have to die now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Which is another one of those reasons why we in our What If Harry Was in Slytherin series, we had like a whole thing about Voldemort doing the silver endowments onto all of his followers as like a mechanism of like controlling them.
Yes.
And it comes back to bite him in a really interesting way. So,
yes, it does. If you haven't listened to What If or watched What If Harry Was in Slytherin.
Yeah, totally worth a couple 4 hours of your
a
life.
couple 4 hours of your life. Not going to be a big deal. You're going to love it, I promise, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
But Harry's basically like, he can go to Azkaban. If anyone deserves that place, he does. And then Lupin performs the same spell that Snape put on him earlier to Peter now, who is now like bound and gagged on the floor. And Lupin kind of returns to like a very business-like, back into teacher mode, and just kind of gives out a bunch of commands, says, let's take him back up to the castle. We'll all, fasten ourselves to Peter here, make sure he can't escape, which doesn't work.
Right.
Yep. Let's see. He does splint Ron's leg with a spell that I think we only ever see once. It says Farula.
Yes.
And this one I just highlighted because if you guys listen to us in any capacity, you know we like the story Name of the Wind. And if I'm not mistaken, Farula is also the true name of Cinder.
We believe so.
Yeah,
Yes. So it's a total aside, but important detail, you know, for those Name of the Wind fans out there. Otherwise, interestingly, Farula, because I also looked this one up specifically for that reason, because I was like, that's weird.
Is that the same word? Yeah.
It is the same word. But it's also a Latin word that also it just means splint for broken bones.
Oh, so there you go.
So that's
probably all this means.
In this particular instance, I think that's all it means.
Yeah,
In Name of the Wind, maybe a different story.
Yeah. Let's see.
Maybe a different story, as if it's not definitely a different story.
Definitely a different story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not that Cinder is some sort of splint.
Yeah, right, yes. But then there's the question about what about Professor Snape, and they're like, well, there's nothing really wrong with him. You're just a little over-enthusiastic. He's still out cold. Perhaps it'll be best if we just don't revive him until we're safely back in the castle, to which I was like, LOL, smart call.
Yeah, definitely a smart call. Don't want to, maybe don't bring him back up just yet. So let's see, then they use Mobile Corpus, which is kind of funny that they have the phrase Mobile Corpus, that the Marauders are using this on Snape, because like in Snape's worst memory, they're going to use Levicorpus, which I guess like hoists you by your ankle.
Oh, yes, good point.
But this is Mobile Corpus, which I guess just floats your body.
It's a gentler version of like a throwback, but you're right. Like if you're watching this chronologically and this happens, you're like, oh geez,
oh, they did it again.
And this is the point where I've always sort of empathized with Snape just a little bit, because it says like, let's see here. As the invisible strings were tied to Snape's wrists, neck, and knees, he was pulled into a standing position, head still lolling unpleasantly like a grotesque puppet, which I'm always kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But also just remember that he was planning to drag Lupin back to the castle. So as unreasonable as this might seem, it's not that unreasonable by comparison.
Yeah. And then Lupin suggests that two of them are chained to, or Black suggests that two of them be chained to this, meaning blaming Peter, just to make sure. Lupin volunteers immediately. And then Ron also volunteers to do it, which he is like, don't forget, Ron has a broken leg here, and he is like, nah, I'll escort this guy.
Yes.
No problem.
Yep.
I'm into it. He is like personally offended by Peter on every level.
Yes. It says Ron's face was set. He seemed to have taken Scabbers' true identity as a personal insult. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I mean, just imagine what's going through Ron's head right now. He's just like, I've been defending you all year.
To the girl I secretly like.
To the girl I like. You are a rat man. You killed my best friend's parents. Like, you can just feel the hatreds like seething out of Ron as like more and more realizations must be like exploding inside of his head.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And so then we pretty much close out the chapter with the line: Crookshanks leapt lightly off the bed and led the way out of the room. His bottle brush tail held jauntily high. To which I just highlighted and was like, good boy, Crookshanks.
Yeah, there you go. Good job.
Yeah, hopefully
Man.
Nothing else happens on this evening.
I know, right? Oh, if only. Yeah, they're so close. That's how I just wrote at the bottom of this. It's just so close.
So close.
They're so close to it working out right here. Like, if not there, if it just wasn't even a full moon, you know?
I know.
If the clouds hadn't shifted, what might have been?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very nearly avoiding disaster here. But of course, the next chapter is things are going to get pretty crazy. It's actually the shortest chapter of them all next week, The Dementor's Kiss.
The shortest chapter in the whole series. I think by our books, I think it's only like 7 pages.
Yeah, it is very short. Like what,
378 to 386.
Yeah, when we were doing the next one on tour, we were like, it is like, 4 physical sheets of paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is a very short chapter.
But a very important chapter.
Very important chapter. Yeah, when we were on tour, we were like looking at this one, like, are we going to have enough to say? Like, are we going to be able to fill the entire, like, show? Or are we just going to, like, talk for 15 minutes and be like, well,
that's the end of that chapter.
That chapter.
Thanks for coming.
Don't worry, we got through it. And actually, we had so much to say. So
we did indeed.
Don't you worry about next week. Going to be a nice, chunky episode for sure for you. How long was this one? Yeah, we've been talking for a while.
We have an hour and a half. Not so bad.
This is one of those things, like, when we're on tour, like, we kind of have this, like, hour mark that we sort of have to aim for the show.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, I guess we'll just sort of like wrap right here. But obviously we had like at least 30 minutes more worth of things to say.
Yes, you're
about the
absolutely
chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's so true.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, so before we close out though, do you have a review for us?
I do have a review from Chess Player 6.
Hey, Chess Player 6.
Chess Player 6 says, coming to you from New Jersey, and I was there through the Griffin tour, and the vibes were immaculate. My question for you is, what if Harry helped Lupin in Deathly Hallows when he came to Grimmauld Place? So I think maybe they mean this in reverse. What if Lupin helped Harry in Deathly Hallows when he came to Grimmauld Place? Like, what if Harry had allowed Lupin to come with them?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
End of question.
End of question.
End of question. Okay. So yeah, this has always been one of those interesting things, and I feel like it used to this section of the book used to really bother me. I feel like when I was in my earlier reads of the story, because I just don't like how angry Harry gets at him.
Right.
But
it almost seems like unreasonable, like, to reject such like obvious help.
Yes, exactly. And Lupin has always been such like a great mentor. And I mean, Prisoner of Azkaban is case in point that he's basically the best marauder. But like, I think with time, what I've come to understand, and I think sort of like the underlying reason behind even like the, because there's a bunch of things going on there. But Remus having Teddy and being married to Tonks, and then basically appearing to attempt to like aid them in their travels. It's almost like, Lupin, have you learned nothing from all of this? Like,
right.
You know, it's like my life, like everything I've had to live without, like you're being here and putting your own life in danger. It's like, you can't do that, okay? Like,
right.
You know, it's like there are more important things. Because even the fact that Harry has broken up with Ginny, so that like going into Deathly Hallows, it's like he's not unattached, because like I think anybody who with eyes can clearly see that these two still love each other very deeply. Like, and I think probably they even both know it's there, but I think it's almost like a ceremonial breakup,
right?
For the purposes of allowing Harry to not have that responsibility. Like he is attempting to free Ginny such that if something were to go wrong, she can still live her life
Right.
out. And so I think like even for Harry, like in that particular situation, like he's made that significant sacrifice. You know, he hasn't put Ginny's life at risk by asking her to come along with him.
Yeah.
You know, inside of all this. So I can understand his frustration and why he gets so mad, which I know doesn't answer the question. It's just I just had to say it.
Yeah, trying to like give further understanding to like how that scene has changed for you over time.
As an individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then if Lupin appears while they're at Grimmauld Place. So this is during their planning to still break into the ministry.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and I want to say that Lupin, the way he outlines it, is like, I could just be there as a helper. You don't even have to tell me what you're doing.
Yes. And in that capacity, a lot of times it's almost like, I mean, that could be pretty useful.
It does, and it's like it's an extremely tempting offer, and you have to wonder, like, if, like, just assuming, like, if Tonks isn't pregnant at the moment, like, how much does that change?
I think it changes a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because I do think that ends up being the real thing. Because to be fair to the situation at large, Tonks has already been a member of the Order of the Phoenix long before their relationship. So it's not like Lupin would be like roping her out of her civilian life into this battle. Like
right.
She's been there from the start. That's why they know each other. And I think Molly makes a point at some point in time like that during the First Wizarding War, people were running off and getting married, you know, to try to like have one last good thing. You know, because of everything, you know, the fear that was going on, and you didn't know like what day was going to be your last, and you know that type of like nightmare situation. So yeah, I think if Tonks isn't pregnant with Teddy, that makes a big difference, and Lupin probably is just capable of staying, which then probably does, you know, make it. This is probably again where my frustration came from back in the day, because it's like sometimes I think like there was such a determination, such a need to make them like their time while they're camping just be so ridiculously uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they don't have any food, you know, like they you know, they're doing the best they can with what protective magic they have, but I think it's pretty clear that like Flitwick and McGonagall and the other professors have a lot more than they have.
Yeah.
You know, when they start protecting Hogwarts and everything. So Lupin probably has some of that up his sleeve that he could have brought to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think so. You'd think he might like. I can't remember if when Lupin comes, I think it's before they've like flipped. Is Creature already like hunting for Mundungus at this point?
It's a good question as well. I can't remember the exact timeline. It would be very narrowly inside of that scope, though.
Yeah, like have they found the locket yet or whatnot? Or learned the whole story about Regulus and stuff. But like Lupin couldn't know those things without knowing about Horcruxes then.
Right.
And they're determined to not let him in on that. So at the very least, let's just assume he's there. They're like, okay, fine, you can help. They talk to Creature. They're like, okay, Umbridge has it. We have to break into the Ministry and steal a thing from her. That's what they tell Lupin.
Right.
Like, we need your help planning to break in, or else also breaking into the Ministry with us or something. Let's see. Does it, or he could even just stay behind at Grimmauld Place while they do it. And this is when they lose access to Grimmauld Place as well.
They do, because Dolohov, I think, or Yaxley gets hold of Ron, and there's that like splinching effect as they like land.
He gets brought inside the protection of the Fidelius charm.
Right,
Yeah.
which would have revealed it. So at that point in time, Lupin also would have been stuck, or would have had to leave.
Yeah, I guess he would have had to have left there, and it might have been difficult for him to like reunite with them, I suppose, if they all just had to like disapparate on the spot.
Right.
Or something. So assuming he goes with them, though, maybe things go like smoother at the Ministry. You know, like they have like a fourth person in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe their playing is just a little more sound when they get in there.
Right, yes. Having an adult who probably has spent any amount of time in any adult settings, although, to be fair, Lupin maybe doesn't have that much experience because of the whole werewolf thing.
That's true.
However, I still think that he would have been a useful aid. So then it makes, let's just say getting the locket better. Let's still say the Yaxley situation happens. They still end up needing to go camping. Then I think you're in such close quarters that it's like, at what point in time do you have to tell him about what's going on?
I know, right? Like if this point you have the locket and like you're sharing it across each other, like would he ever wear it? Like probably not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Seems like that could be dangerous and stuff. You'd also have to be really cognizant of the full moon again.
That would be another detail to keep in mind.
That would have to, because they're out there for like months.
Yes, they would go through several of them.
Yeah. It seems like getting food, however, would be a lot easiher.
Yes, which maybe means like Ron doesn't go away.
That's true. Maybe Ron doesn't go away. I'm inclined. This is tricky because he would almost eventually have to leave because of the full moon.
Yes.
Right? Like that would be a problem at some point.
Right.
Yeah. Like unless, apparently maybe he just stays in the tent and then it's not a problem, but
Well, that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, right.
It's complicated. It's strange to me, I think, like how little I feel like it makes camping more comfortable, but I feel like there's a piece of me that doesn't feel like it would change as much as I always would have assumed.
Yeah, like unless they just tell him what they're doing or like we need to destroy this thing. Like would he have a different solution for how to destroy the locket? Like probably not. I don't know. Like, would he suggest like fiend fire or something? Would he have like a more contained way to do it?
It's possible. It's possible. It seems like that's very dark magic, fiend fire. Although I guess Hermione has also stumbled across it like in her studies, and she's like, I never would have suggested it. It's too dangerous.
Right.
So there is that as well. I'm trying to fast forward a little bit. I don't know. Because the other big thing about Horcruxes is that it's not information that just anybody might know about.
Right.
And a lot of the information is kind of like kept under lock and key. And a lot of the information that Harry even knows is because of his lessons with Dumbledore.
But on the other hand, like Lupin was the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, and he would have been teaching 7th years as well.
True.
And some of them would have been like that is when you would learn about that stuff. Right?
About Horcruxes?
About Horcruxes.
Do you think you learned about Horcruxes at all?
No, you're right. Slughorn says it's a banned subject.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. But so would Lupin know anything about Horcruxes? I don't know.
Or what do you know about the Deathly Hallows? Because that's another one where it almost feels like Xenophilius is almost like a unique ace in the hole because he's kind of like this like Cloud Cuckoo Lander character where it's like, you're like, can I believe anything you say? And it's like, in this particular instance, he's right.
Yeah.
But it requires his quirkiness.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It is hard to know.
Because here's the absolute that I feel like I don't think I'd be able to modify is I don't think that Harry is going to be willing to let Lupin in on the plan under any circumstances. Because even by the time he gets to the Battle of Hogwarts, like he still doesn't tell McGonagall about what's going on. Like,
right.
He's like, I can't tell you what the plan is, but like Dumbledore sent me orders. McGonagall's like, enough for me.
Good enough.
What do you need? And then, there's an obvious thing for her to do, which is go and protect the castle. But like otherwise, it just seems like Lupin's involvement there would be like so difficult because then they can't have conversations around him because they can't reveal to him what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would be very difficult. Like maybe they'd have better protection around themselves, but like their protections pretty much work anyway.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they'd be better fed. They don't really run into anyone. Like would they go to I don't think maybe Ron doesn't leave. You're right because they have like one more person, or if they're like better fed.
You could have one of the things that me and you have often said is that we wish there was a battle between Fenrir and Lupin at the Battle of Hogwarts, and Fenrir is part of the party of people who find them like with the Snatchers.
That's true. Yeah.
So you could have that battle happen then. Lupin could even lose that battle.
Oh, you're right.
And still die.
Oh, wow. That'd be sad.
Which would be be very sad, especially after he's just basically been living apart from his new wife and, pending child.
Right.
Oh, gosh, if he never got to meet Teddy.
That'd be terrible.
Ooh, that hurts. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I feel like I could see a situation there. That would be kind of interesting. Because Fenrir and Lupin coming face to face is just a detail that it's like, why is that not happening?
Right.
Like, why are we not getting that story?
Right. Because he's the one who bid him. It seems like Lupin should get justice against him.
Yes. Yeah. Justice for Lupin.
Justice for Lupin.
Yeah. If there's one thing that we would love to lob into the HBO series, you got to have that during either this scene or the Battle of Hogwarts, but probably the Battle of Hogwarts.
Probably the Battle of Hogwarts. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm like coming to the conclusion. Like it doesn't mean that this is the absolute hard and fast answer. It's not that I don't feel like my brain can't come up with something else, but it's like there's a piece of me that's like so stuck with the fact that they'd be in such close quarters and so unable to talk about anything.
I know, yeah, it would be very difficult to talk. Like, but if Ron doesn't leave, then like maybe they don't go to Godric's Hollow, and then they don't get attacked by
like
Nagini.
The wand doesn't break.
Which means Harry's wand doesn't break? Yeah. So in that case, then he can just beat Voldemort with like the golden fire at the end.
That's true. That's true.
Which still kind of works, I guess, because like then it's still almost more like it's Harry's wand rather than Harry himself.
Right. Like, the wand is regurgitating Voldemort's own power.
Right, at him.
Yes.
So that still works in a way that's not like Harry killed somebody.
Right.
And he just sort of burns to death.
then he really does turn to ash.
Yeah,
like,
then he really does, like in the movie. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Oh, man, yeah. So if the wand doesn't break, yeah, that's interesting, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, well, I like the idea that he fights Fenrir, and that's when he dies instead.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, well, the best answer we could possibly give. Sorry you had to watch us circle the drain for so
Doesn't
long.
get justice, I guess.
Oh, I know, that's bad.
That is bad.
That's bad. But God, if there's anything that's going to fire you up, because then Dobby's going to die just a few pages later.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be a very rough couple of pages for Perry.
Yes, it's a difficult one. Okay. Well, as per always, guys, if you want to go and leave us a review, we would absolutely appreciate it. It helps the show continue to be discovered further. If you haven't already, subscribe to us over on YouTube. We're also aiming for 100,000 subscribers over there, so we can finally get the silver play button for the Gryffindor. It'd be such a win. It'd be such a victory. So if you're willing to help us along our journey there, we would so appreciate it. But yeah, I think that closes us out for today.
I think it pretty much does. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you join us next week for Chapter 20, The Dementor's Kiss, here on Through the Gryffindor.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edghill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.